The ternary operator is an assignment operator, and it is more succinct instead of having to write if-else statements. See the example in line 3 and 4. So the format of the ternary operator looks like this. You have a condition, and then you write a question mark, and if the condition is true, then assign this value. We then add a colon, and if the condition is not true, then you fall back on the else condition. So in line 4, what we are really saying is that the variable max equals number 1 if number 1 is greater than number 2, or the max value should equal the number 2 if this condition is not true, and the condition is number 1 is greater than number 2. We can already see that number 1 is greater than number 2, and therefore the max value should equal to number 1 because the condition evaluates to true. In line 5, create a variable called min and use the ternary operator to find the minimum of num 1 and 2. So we basically follow the same example as the line above. So what we say is var min equals, in the condition, we can write it again the same way as before and say if number 1 is greater than number 2, then the minimum is number 2, else the minimum is number 1. So the only thing that we change in the min versus the max is that if it's true that number 1 is greater than number 2, then number 2 would be the minimum. So it's the opposite of the above, which makes sense because the min is the opposite of the maximum. So there you go. You can see how writing this in one line is a lot more compact than having to write the if-else statements across multiple lines, and that's why the ternary operator is so popular.